Kai, let's go back to Friday.
Thank you, Jim. A wonderful ad read from you. Now we started with the Friday games. And guys, we're going to start with the darling of the tournament, St. Peter's versus Purdue. What a story here. I need to credit the guy here, but the Twitter thread going out from a former St. Peter's staffer is incredible. Just giving a peek inside their program, their facilities, just incredible. To be in the Sweet 16 from where that program came from is a fantastic story. Shaheen Holloway, congratulations. You're the next coach of Seton Hall. Totally deserved. One of the top effort teams, Matt, in the tournament. And we've seen these teams do incredibly well. Now, I said all that, and I said Murray State would blow them out. Surely Purdue blows them out. Surely St. Peter's can't keep this up. They do have a top 30 defense now in the country. Impressive in those first two games, but Purdue's offense, better than both Kentucky and Murray State. It seems impossible to me they're going to stop Eden Williams, and especially Jaden Ivey on the perimeter. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the St. Peter's thing ends here. I mean, the spread's big, and I think you have to respect how well Peters is playing. They've clearly proven they can stand up against all the way bona fide size, which is what Purdue boasts. The way they were able to neutralize Big O, Jim, up front, Oscar the Grouch for Kentucky.
Wait, we're saying they neutralized him?
I mean, they beat them.
He had 30 and 16. I'm not.
Yeah, well, so point. That's my next point is like, I think there's an avenue where she always like, hey, we'll let Edie get his, 30, whatever, and we're just going to play we'll stay at home with cheaters, and we're going to manufacture and chip away on the offensive glass. So I think there's a blueprint at least here for some success. However, I just don't think it's replicable. I think there is an expiration date on that type of approach. And Travion Williams, while frustrating at times this tournament, was pretty damn stellar. And that's a tough 1-2 punch to withstand. I think St. Peter's has basically one really good, maybe two good post defenders, if you want to count both Drame twins and Indefo. But again, they're more long, like hybrid forward wingy guys. They're not true like bruisers. And Purdue, I think, can also soften up that defense a little more than UK can with their shooters. Guys got to make shots, though. I don't know, Jim. Story for me here is, can Purdue's defense suffocate St. Peter's? Probably not, but I mean, can they suffocate them enough to escape a 12-point, to get outside a 12-point number?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really trust Purdue's defense. I heaped some praise on them yesterday because they held Texas scoreless for 10 minutes. They still gave up 71 points. Like, if you took out a quarter of the game and you're still giving up 71 points to Texas's offense, you have some problems defensively. You just do. But I think the one big takeaway from that game too for Purdue, especially offensively, is how often they were at the free throw line. I know this got complained about ad nauseum because Texas was living in foul trouble, but they have small bigs and they were trying to compete with Travion Williams and Zach Edey inside. And they just kept hacking them. And the refs said, I have to keep calling this. So they put him on the line a ton. Eric Hunter and Jaden Ivey both got to the line a bunch. I think that's going to happen again against St. Mary's. I think they're too small, against St. Peter's. They're too small inside. They're going to be forced to resort to fouling quite a bit. They are pretty deep, Kai. They've got a bunch of bodies to throw, but they're all smaller bodies. Again, that's the issue. Yep. So I think Purdue shoots a ton of free throws. They can get off enough threes, and they're effective at shooting them. They'll be better than Kentucky was at 4 for 17 in the first round. Purdue will knock down more threes than that. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards Purdue despite the crazy wave of high-level play that St. Peter's is on.
You got to remember not to, I would say, put too much stock in single game tournament settings. The sample size is so small. St. Peter's literally had the offensive game of their lives against Kentucky. They had one of their better offensive games again against Murray State. This team lost to Stony Brook, Canisius, Rider, Siena twice, St. Francis, New York, blown out by St. John's this year. They are not on the same level as Purdue, despite these two miracle wins. Yeah, and Jim, they're bottom 10 in the country in free throw rate allowed. Purdue's going to live at the line. They got 42 free throws against Texas. They're going to get 30, 40 free throws against St. Peter's. I just think they're a little bit too much. The effort there is there for St. Peter's. Fantastic coach team, at least from an effort standpoint. I mean, my gosh, they defend. But I think this is Purdue's game, even minus 12.5. I think they get it done.
Yeah, Joe, I'm just looking at the historical foul rate of Shaheen Holloway. Like Chris Beard teams always are pretty high in the foul. Like they're pack lining, but they're aggressive. St. Peter's same way. I mean, I think Purdue could easily shoot 35 free throws in this game.
Yep. One other little note that I'm sure is of historical interest for some, but might not actually be relevant betting wise. Both 15 seeds that made the Sweet 16 covered. Florida Gulf Coast covered a 14.5 point spread back in 2013. And then Oral Roberts only lost by 2 last year to Arkansas. So perhaps there is something to playing well, but we'll see.
Next game. Hey, Matt and Kai are covering the North Regional in Chicago on Friday, and on Sunday we'll
North Regional.
I think it is the North, right?
I think it's the Midwest, right?
It says on the media credentials,
the northern
North
part of
Regional.
the Midwest.
I don't know why it's called that.
Well,
Chicago's up.
I take it back, Kai. If it's on the credential, I'm wrong. I apologize.
It doesn't mean it's right. We're in Chicago. We're covering the game. We're going to be there. All right. Providence, Kansas. Matt, in my opinion, the spread's too high. I love Kansas, but I'm going to happily take Providence plus 7-up, who just lives to be in close games against better teams. Nate Watson, I don't think has an edge here. Nate Watson hasn't played very well the first 2 games. But I lean towards the Friars. I'll give some more points later, but I want to get you a crack at it first.
Yeah, who hasn't played well is teams that play against Providence. And while Providence deserves some credit for that, my goodness, like the Richmond thing, like look at I know the shot quality score basically had what Richmond is losing by 3 or 4. I don't believe it was that close at all. They won by 28 points, but Richmond shot 1 of 22 from 3 and 8 of 21 from the free throw line. And they scored, by the way, 20 of 31 from inside the arc. So like they were able to score inside against this Providence defense. KU will score inside against Providence as well. Question is, can Providence continue to make shots, continue to execute down the stretch late? That's what's been the undervalued part about Providence all year, is that in close games, they have multiple shot makers now, with Al Durham going to just this hero status, which I never saw in Indiana. Frustrating, IU fans, I know. And then Jared Bynum now healthy, doing that same kind of that Batman Robin back and forth with the Nate Watson rock inside. They know who they are in crunch time, where Kansas, I think they're starting to kind of look like a well-oiled machine with Remy Martin. I continue to underscore how important he's been. I just don't know if I trust KU to execute as well as I do Providence if this game is tight. Kai, I'm with you. I'm leaning Providence. Some people bet this down. It's down to 7.5 right now.
Providence plus 7.5, best bet.
Love it.
KU just gave up over
Love
1
that.
point per possession to a team with 4 players. Like Creighton played 4 guys basically the entire game. They had 4 guys score all but 4 of their points, and they scored over a point per possession. I was not impressed with Kansas defense against Creighton. No Nemhard, no Kalkbrenner, no problem for the Blue Jays, at least in terms of covering. And yeah, I just buy this Providence team's the narrative and even the way they're playing. Like this is 23 and 24-year-olds that have clearly figured something out heading into the postseason here. I think they're going to hang around. They're going to be pesky. I don't know if they'll win, but 7.5 is far too many points for me. I think they have been a little undervalued by analytics, Kai. I'm seeing it. I think they've broken shot quality, Matt. I can't look at Providence shot quality scores anymore because Providence has solved that somehow. They just win games no matter what those numbers say.
They're the outlier among outliers.
I think Kansas wins, but I just think there's value on the spread here. So the thing about Providence, which is annoying if you're going against Providence, you don't know who's going to be the star. Like Noah Horschler was a star against Richmond. Al Durham, Matt mentioned, was a star against South Dakota State. I don't know if those happen again, but the fact that both those guys can step up and give you such a boost is dangerous. Now, Providence's defense is not elite. Neither is its offense. Kansas's offense is elite and is getting quite better on defense. They clearly are the better team here, but it is too many points. Jim's point about Creighton is very apt here. Hey, they're in the same conference. So I lean towards Providence on the number.
Hey, two of the last 3 KU games have gone over. I think Remy Martin has a big part to do with that. So I think I would be looking at an over play here.
Good stat. UNC, UCLA. UNC, Jim, has strung together 2 mega impressive efforts. I mean, if Manic played that whole game against Baylor, it's likely it could have been a blowout. UCLA was not fazed by St. Mary's. The Gales could just not stop them. What do you think about this matchup? Blue Blood City here. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is usually a CBS Sports Classic game in December. Big plug for them. I've just been mega impressed by UNC. I know they melted down a 38-13 run for Baylor after Manic got booted. I just think they ran out of players. This has basically become a 5-man team, Matt. They don't have depth. Caleb Love fouled out of that game. So without Manic, without Love, they were playing 2 like non-scorers. They already have Leaky Black out there who can't play on offense. I think they just ran out of guys, and getting them back on the floor. I believe in the arc that this team is on. They had every right to be this good considering the talent on the roster. I doubted UCLA last round, so perhaps I should be eating some words there. They manhandled the Gales. Really, really impressive effort from the Bruins. But I'm leaning towards UNC, Matthias. Maybe I'm crazy, but they're playing a little more defense. And when they get all 5 of those guys back on the floor, as they will for this game, the offense is truly deadly. So it's UNC for me here.
Yeah, I like Ron Lowney's take in the chat. UCLA needs to press UNC. Baylor found their biggest weakness. Interesting point. I'm not sure if that will come to fruition.
Caleb Love's off the floor. Yes.
And Caleb's off the floor. Yeah, RJ Davis is the only other viable ball handler. Even he's not super secure with it. This is the biggest toss-up coin flip. Who the heck knows matchup of this entire set of Sweet 16 games. Given what we just saw the last game, especially with UNC, this is live bet central for me. So I'm not sure if I'm looking for any specific inflection points, but I mean, the obvious ones are big deficits. I just think there's going to be huge spurts in this game, back and forth. So that's my angle, Kai. Blame, but there it is.
Yeah. So I think UCLA had a favorable route. Akron gave them a scare, but Akron's not very big. St. Mary's not athletic. They struggle against athletic teams. UNC is way bigger, way more athletic than both those teams. A true power team in every sense of the word. I think it's a really tough challenge for UCLA here. I do lean towards them. Now, the Bruins defense has been a lot more impressive than I realized this season. They don't do anything super well, but they don't have many weaknesses on that end. And that's been their key to playing, again, like a top 10 team. Preseason, Jim kind of mentioned it. Or maybe it was Matt, we all had UNC in the top 15-ish in our rankings. So we did think this team would be elite, not a 9 seed. Maybe they're starting playing to that, toward that potential. Excuse me. I do like UNC here +2. Last game on the rundown. This is the second game of the Chicago Regional. Iowa State, Miami, Florida. It's not what I wanted, Jim. I wanted Auburn. I didn't care, I guess, about Iowa State, Wisconsin, but I wanted Auburn. Gosh dang it. Miami is the best offense by far Iowa State has faced in this tournament. I think it's a bad matchup for them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a terrible matchup for them. We talked about Wisconsin not turning the ball over and how that would give them an edge against a team that really wants to get steals and get out and run in transition. That's Iowa State's best route to offense. But so Wisconsin's form of not turning the ball over is different. It's just playing slowly, patient in the half court. They don't really punish you for gambling. They just take care of it. They take good shots. Miami, meanwhile, Matthew, I think they're more built to take advantage of the gambling that Iowa State will do. If you give them driving lanes, these guards are dynamic. Wong, Moore, McGusty, they're going to get into gaps and score. And I think that's where they take advantage of Iowa State's defense here. I think it's a really brutal matchup for the thing that Iowa State does best, and that is get steals and go the other way. And I think Miami's defense, while not their best aspect, I think they'll force Iowa State into tougher jump shots. I think Larinaga will have a pretty solid plan here. I like Miami. The line has flipped over to Miami's a favorite team. Yeah. Pretty heavy money early, but I agree with it. And I also have a best bet on the under.
Undertaker's back.
Iowa State unders, man. They've both been bet up so far in this tournament. They've both gone under by like 15 and 25 points. They're a bad offensive team. They're a good defensive team. I think they're an under squad for sure. So under 133.5, a best bet for me there, Matthew.
Yeah, even when Gabe Kalsher is doing Michael Jordan impression, the under still was flew under with flying colors. Yeah, Jim, I'm with the early money. I'm with you on the under. I like the Canes, and I like the under. Iowa State's good. They've defended. They've won with smoke and mirrors a lot. It's just the shot making. I don't find it to be sustainable. Miami, look at their 2 wins, Guy. They haven't shot the ball particularly well. They were horrific against USC, but they found other ways to win. And I think that's it's emblematic of a well-coached team and a relatively versatile roster where, if they can force, USC, they found a weakness and, they can't really handle the ball. They're not the smartest decision makers. They pressured, they got turnovers. They turned those into points. Auburn, I thought they just played smarter. They just took better shots. And for an Auburn team with a huge size advantage to shoot under 40% from inside the arc, I think goes to show how good Larinaga has been this season, despite having effectively a 5-guard roster. I just love this Miami thing. I think they're on a roll. It's a team you don't want to get in the way of. Take the Canes. I'd even take it at the current 2.5. Even with the hook, Kai. Even with the hook. Don't even buy the half. Take the hook. Drink it. 2.5 Canes.
It's my best bet. I didn't realize it was up to 2.5 now, but it is at BetRivers. Yeah, -2.5 for Miami. Jim kind of mentioned it.
It's all about the U.
Miami gets
it's all about the U.
Miami gets in the lane so easily. And Iowa State's biggest weakness is 2-point field goal percentage defense. 218th in the country. It's a good defensive team. That's their bugaboo. That's what hurts them. And offense, Miami's 6th in the country. Excuse me. Miami does not turn the ball over, as Jim said, 6th in the country in turnover rate. Those guards are secure with the ball. Matt mentioned they play 4-guard lineups all the time. It's a very tough matchup for Iowa State, who cannot punish Miami for playing those all-guard lineups. The effort level, we talked about St. Peter's, Iowa State, right there with TCU, right there with St. Peter's in terms of effort. Certainly that is a factor here, but Miami's no slouch either. That Auburn game was very impressive. I think this game could end up being a double-digit win for the Canes. That's how much I think, Jim, they can handle business here against Iowa State.
Love that. Today's episode of Best Bets is sponsored by Honey, which is the easiest way to save money when shopping on your phone or your computer. Kai, have you ever been in the spot? You're shopping for something online, you get to check out and ask you for a promo code. So you start Googling around, you're trying to find, I gotta save some money here. I need to find a discount. Well, thanks to Honey, manually searching is a thing of the past. Honey does that for you. It scours the internet and finds the one that best fits your cart. You're shopping, you check out, a Honey button pops up, you click apply coupons. Within a few seconds, you just watch the price go down, you sit back. Kai, after this weekend, we bought about, a vat of Pedialyte to nurse ourselves back to health. Had we had Honey, my goodness, we probably would have saved 50% on it, but we have it now. That's the important part. If you don't already have Honey, you could be missing out like we were. By getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting the show. 2-in-1. We love that. I never recommend something I wouldn't use. I love saving money. Big on that, especially after a big, expensive Vegas weekend. So get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/March Madness. That's joinhoney.com/March Madness. I think we can remember that one. Hop in there and get yourself some Honey.